Hello, everyone. It's Kelly here from the Friendly Australian Disclosure Alliance. I'm popping on here today to give a little bit of a personal offering to you guys and a little bit of a tiny, minute teaching, I guess. So I know that we're almost 6 months into disclosure and it's starting to really rattle everyone's psyche. And for those of us who have been on this journey for many decades, we're experiencing a major information overload. And for those who have just started this journey and are researching everything, oh my gosh, you are also experiencing a major information overload. So disclosure phase 1 or lockdown phase 1, whatever you're referring to, that was sort of like, okay, it was new, it's kind of exciting, everyone was sort of waking up and, we didn't know what was going to happen. And if you're in the disclosure communities, it was like, wow, what's going to happen every day? And literally you found yourself digesting about 12 hours of information every single day, well into the nighttime. And for many who just started their awakening process, my gosh, you guys have had to take on board so much, and there's just so much fantastic information coming out from all over the world. You could just sit down and watch podcasts and documentaries and read countless articles from amazing people everywhere. I mean, really amazing testimony to the awesomeness of the human race right now. I mean, gosh, the content coming out from humanity versus the government and the mainstream media is phenomenal. I love you guys. Everyone's doing so amazing. Anyway, so phase 2, as we enter this second phase of disclosure or the lockdown in whichever country you are in the moment, is a little bit harsher, right? So we've had many months now of digesting information, all this inputs coming into our brain, input. Magenta Pixie calls it the great deluge, and it literally is. It's a deluge of content. And I think because everyone's sort of exhausted now and way more stressed because businesses are closing and people don't have any security and they can't see their mothers and their parents are locked in aged care homes and being basically murdered. And, we're all being forced to wear a mask, or that's up to you, but that's what is being put onto so many millions of people right now. The overshadowing fear of the vaccine is upon us, and we've really lost a lot of our rights. And if you're into disclosure and truth seeking, the Great Awakening, you know how fucking outrageous this is all right now. So it's really pushing up against your fuck this, how dare anyone take my freedom away mentality, and still needing to go to the grocery store and not always wanting to get bullied by the public every time you leave your house. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and phase 2 really is about personal integration. And I noticed that with my energy levels this time round, I was going up and down woo! We have to acknowledge that the world is having a collective panic attack right now. We're having a collective anxiety, and our energy frequencies up and down like crazy. And you can be having you could get up and have an okay day, but we have all our routines and habits are out. Or you could get up and have a really bad day and just have no clarity or focus and not really be able to do much. And I think this is happening to every single one in our own way, and it is definitely happening to me. And I'm really centered in this process. So if it's happening to me, I can only guess that it's happening to all amazing, wonderful souls out there, light workers, starseed, truth seekers, disclosure students, the ordinary people in public, and everyone. So I'm just jumping on today because what I have taken from the last, this next phase is that I needed to be very mindful of my own consciousness. Now, we know we're in a war on consciousness right now. We know above everything else, this is about our consciousness and the ownership and control of it. The mainstream media is so fear-based right now because that is the paradigm that controls the 3D, hijacked, deep state, fear-based, control, no freedom paradigm. But for us who know what's going on, our residents will never consent to that. Our consciousness is far beyond this moment in time. Most of us have been living well into 4D and for a long time. And that just means an opening of awareness. That just means a rising up past this sort of hijacked grid and understanding the broader, deeper picture and linking that to your central spirituality and your core being and what you want to commit to the world in service. which gets me to the point of this video. So I noticed my energy was going up and down, and what I decided to do with that was return to what I know has always worked for helping my energy stabilize, and that is inspirational, transformational, inspiring talks. I love people who have a really positive message, who just like remind me who I am, and to like get up and just like put everything into order again. And so I started Googling around and found some awesome speakers, which the last couple of weeks I've been listening to. Found a group called Mindvalley, which I love, and they have a lot of amazing speakers on there, and just reminded myself like what to check in with who I was and what my vision was for the next 10 years or the future, and what I was going to do with this time right now, and to make sure I was very much, my cognitive resonance on this topic was very much skewed towards positive, high thinking, vibrationally strong resonance, thriving life, vitality, vision, and fucking service, right? Because one of the biggest things that happens is you wake up to all this shit and you're like, oh my God, how can I help? How can I be sitting here and knowing this is all going on with human trafficking, with pedophilia, and how do I help? How can my being contribute to that? And if you can't answer that, it's really depressing. So I suggested everyone maybe potentially check in now at this phase with your life purpose and vision. So the life purpose was what got me in the last couple of weeks, and me saying, okay, well, you know, what is my true life purpose? Like, I've spent my whole life in the disclosure community, which has kept me ajarred from, you know, like wanting to have a career and making an effort in that area. You know, I've been very much about chasing God and spirituality and understanding the mind, setting up communities and you know, the arts and spirit, all of those modalities, and which has brought me to here. So I did a whole pile of research just to remind myself about what is my soul's purpose and what does that mean. And the best teaching I found was from an amazing starseed called Elizabeth Aprils. And amazing, young, beautiful, shiny starseed who's doing transmissions from the Galactic Federation. And she did a talk on soul purpose. And from that talk, she reminded me that when we look at our soul purpose, it's the very thing that's been with you your whole life, and it's run beside you the whole life. It's that thing that when you do it, all your friends and family go, oh my God, you're so amazing at that. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Like, how did you do that? You should totally do that for a living. Like, why are you famous doing that, you know? And for most of us, particularly in the Starseed community, we're just like, yeah, that's like just one of my talents or one of my skills. But, you know, we kind of like dismiss it or put it down just because it's, we don't see it as noble enough or spiritual enough or of service enough. So we kind of like have it, you know, keep running it through our lives, but we kind of dismiss it at the same time. So I tuned into that, you know, in the last couple of weeks and looked throughout my whole life and thought, well, what is the one thing that's followed me this whole life? It's not just disclosure. And I had to say it was art. Like, I have used my art my whole life, and I've used it to make money, and I've used it to connect with communities, and I've used it when I'm feeling bad, and I use it when I'm feeling good, and I use it all the time, but I've never taken it seriously enough to say, that is my life purpose. I am here to do that, and that's my contribution, also my greatest teaching, and therefore I'm going to stand here as a professional artist and contribute that to the movement. Like, I've never ever said that, and I think to myself, because I've never seen it as being noble enough. So I was like, okay, fine, it's art. I confess that's what it is. I've never made it a professional career move of mine, but this is what it is. So I decided, okay, I'm going to put myself through 12 weeks of an art discipline, and I'm going to paint 12 canvases. I didn't know what I was going to paint. In fact, I've painted a lot over the last 10 years that I was living on my farm out in the bush, but it was never on canvases. I was painting big murals for council just to make money, or I was painting sign writing because, you know, they didn't want websites up there, they want signs for their property, and I was doing, and I was painting my op shops, so I was doing lots of stuff, but I never painted on canvas. And so it's been quite a challenging thing for me to go from painting these 20-meter like walls to these like half-meter canvases, and I had no idea what's going to come out. But I have started the process, and I'm 3 weeks in, and I've decided I want to share it with you guys. I want to let you know that there's so much more to your time right now than just disclosure. You have to balance, well, you would be in good stead, I should say, to balance your input, all this content information, with some output. And to know what output you want to balance is, it might be time for you, like me, to check in with your soul's purpose and your real reason for being here and what that means to you personally. And to know that if you just decide to step into your true soul's purpose, the whole universe is going to line up to make it, to support you, because it was why you're here, and it was always why you were here. And any disruptions in your life is probably because you weren't taking it seriously enough. And I am going to guess also that by outputting your soul's purpose, you will find an amazing contribution to this space of disclosure, or whatever it is you're passionate about, right? Truth seeking, whatever it is. And whatever it is you do or love, it doesn't even matter, because the most amazing magic of all this, and I can't tell you this enough, is that there is nothing to compare you to. There's a Lisa Nichols quote who says, you have nothing to protect and nothing to defend and nothing to hide, because there is no one else to compare you to, because you are original. No one else can do Kelly Jones. No one else can paint Kelly Jones. I have no one to compare to, so I should have no shyness about standing here and saying this is what I'm producing, right? And the same is true for everyone. No one can be you, which means you can do anything, because there's nothing to compare you to ever. You are an amazing original spirit incarnate. So I decided to do 12 weeks. So I'm on week 3. So I'm going to bring you up to date with my journey. So I didn't know what I was going to paint first time. I just decided I was going to paint. And so I just decided to paint me. And I thought, okay, well, that's a good place to start. I'll just paint me, whatever that means. I don't even know how I'm going to paint me, but I'm just going to paint me. And whatever goes on around me, I have no idea. And so I just left my unconscious mind unravel. And so I'm going to present to you my very first painting right now. And then I'm going to do the next one and the next one. And by next week, we're going to have a live video about where I'm at with this painting. And I have decided that my soul's purpose right now, alongside this page and everything else, is to paint and document disclosure. That's what I'm going to do. And whatever it looks like is what it looks like. But I want to share it with you guys, because I feel like it could be something that maybe inspire you and remind you to have a voice. And, you know, I get real hyperactive about this. And tomorrow we're doing the Australian Disclosure News live broadcast, and I'm going to put on the art there too. And we're just going to make it a theme, and I'd love to hear what you guys are doing during this time. So anyway, without further ado, here is painting number 1 as I stand out of the way. So, all right, I should go up here actually, because the headphones. This is painting number 1, and I didn't know what was going to come out, but this is me, and this is me at what I believe to be in my current state and in connection with the Ascension timeline. Obviously, we've got the Merkaba, the key of all lights, of life there, the geometry that is our beings and the beings of the universe. We've got the circle of life, of course, the flower of life, and of course the transitional butterfly, which is basically what we're all going through right now, okay? I think, anyway. But this is what I came up with, and I had no plan, and I have a common theme with the Lamicons, because I practice, well, I have a discipline where I feel is founded in nonsense, which is basically nonsense in a sense. And the Lamicons to me represent 5D codes. They represent a 5D symbol that is inanimate and at the moment, and no one has an attitude about them. They're completely lofty, and to me they represent our ascension process, because when something's so lofty that no one has any attitude on it, then, you know, quite frankly, that's how we create reality out of nothing. That's within the 5D realm, that we can bring down these beautiful symbols and codexes and have them manifest. I mean, to me, this is going to represent ascension when I see a walking, living Lamicon on this plane. So this is painting number 1. Now, if I'm really clever here, I'm going to swap the background live as we speak and show you painting number 2. Now, this next one really startled everyone when I showed them. It was really something that was confronting us, just a strong image. But I did this one last week, and this is what came out, and this is what I, feel represented disclosure last week. So let's see if I can, there we go. Now this one is cool. This one is, when I did it, I had no idea what I was looking for was this whole conflicting chaos around the mask wearing. And at the last week, it was the tail end of the Lion's Gate portal. And that's a very powerful alignment for the Ascension timeline. And man, we blew it out of the water, everyone should know. All the channels have come back reporting that, yes, the light workers blew it out of the water and we owned that shit, man. But I wanted to have a look at mask wearing and what it represents to us, you know, and I thought, what would be a representation of something that's aware and ascending and compassionate and centered, and to remind us that our journey through disclosure is actually a conscious one. It's an internal journey. It's not anything to do with the external world. That stuff will catch up with us. But actually, right now, our disclosure journey is internal. And when we put that mask on, it's irrelevant. It's a piece of clothing, because our consciousness is what's important. And when our resonance, when our non-consent energy stands up and says, no way, we are not consenting to this, no way, we know what's going on, and we call you out. When our internal voice and our resonance does that, then everything else is irrelevant. What we wear, we're pink star, yellow star, black and white stripes, or a mask, it's entirely irrelevant, because this is war on consciousness, and this is about resonance within yourself. So you can wear whatever you want, as long as your attitude is broadcasting to the world that absolutely not, no consent, we can see you deep state and we know what's going on. So that's what this image is represented. So the idea of putting a mask on the head of a lion, because I want humanity to stand up and get off their knees and roar. This is about your freedom and your ascension and your future earth and experience and our non-consent. So I wanted that roaring energy of the lion. I didn't want you guys to see yourself as passive in the lotus position, but I wanted you to see the column of energy that runs through your spirits on this topic, and to know compassion above everything else at the end of the day is the whole point of all of this, because through compassion we find forgiveness, and through forgiveness we finally have unification. And that's when we'll burst the bubble between the 4D and the 5D realm. So this one, of course, is called Om Mani Padme Hum. And it's a tribute to the Lion's Gate portal, the Disclosure Mask Wearing Week, and our great, composed, compassionate spiritual icon of the Buddha. And of course, the Lamacons. And so now this brings us to painting number 3. I have to say it's my favorite. Again, I didn't know what was going to happen here. I didn't know if I'd be able to bring something together that was just right, but this is what came out. I finished this on Saturday and I love it, and it means a lot to me. So there you go. The third painting in my disclosure series. Of course, the Grand Master of Ceremonies, the President of the USA, Donald Trump, the journey of which we're following so closely. And quite frankly, if you haven't found the narrative to do with Q and the alliance in Trump, you really lose a lot of natural hope and energy when it comes to this world right now. It's that narrative that's offering the broadest the picture, it's offering the hope, the love, the future forward, a real insight to what's really going on. So obviously Donald Trump was going to be painted for me, and I loved painting him. I feel like painting him again. I don't think I'm finished. Of course, we've got the children coming in here. So the angels are the children, which are obviously very important. We've got the white witches, because this week the witches have risen, particularly here in Melbourne, and they've risen to stand for this great awakening and the light. And I had 2 dreams this week about witches, and I've never dreamt of witches. And in the first dream, I was with Trump, and I looked down at myself and went, oh, I'm a witch. And I was like, that's amazing, that's surprising. And then next to me was another witch, and I was like, wow, we're both witches. And then I turned to Don Trump, I pointed at him, I pressed his third eye and said, Mr. President, the white witches are rising with you. We're here, we're with you, but there's a lot of dark ones around as well. I know, this is just a random dream that I had. And then a few days later, I had yet another dream where I was staring at the sky and I could see all these white witches, And I kept saying to everyone in the dream, like, oh, the witches are here, and no one else to see them. So for me, I have a very strong sense that the spiritual war is on. There are there are spiritual practitioners, witches, shamans, whatever you want to call them. Like, it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, for me, what is a witch is someone who's grounded in their spirituality and has practiced their disciplines and know who they are and know what they stand for and know that they're there to protect the light, protect the children, and stand for the future of humankind. That's always been the witch's role, and they are the great medicinal healers. They are the great healers. And this week, the witches have risen. And of course, we've got this beautiful representation of the earth and the blossoming of the earth and the innocence of 5D with the Llamacorn facing the president. And if you look above him, you see the storm that we keep hearing about, this great storm, which we're absolutely in right now. And down the bottom, we've got the dolphins, which to me represents the Tesla towers, the harmonic frequency of the true telegraphic grid, that which means for me like the real internet, when it's been, and the energy grids, everything that's been will be changed over to the healthy, vibrational, aligned frequency of the Tesla towers, which is happening. So the dolphins represent, I mean, they hold the original natural matrix for this plane. They're 6-dimensional entities, and really if we weren't here, they would be a big dominant part of the consciousness of this planet. They are so there with us. They are our allies in this plight. So the dolphins are in there, and of course we've got space, because obviously Donald Trump is introducing the space program and is hopefully going to blow the doors open on the secret space program and the ET agenda, all of these things that have been held so like fucking unfairly from the human race, just to create even more division and bullshit and, you know, lack of sovereignty. So this is painting number 3. I'm sharing it with you. I'm putting it out there. I don't know what will become of these paintings, but I truly hope that they've just cheered you up today and hopefully given you a sense of inspiration towards what you yourself could create. I never see positive images of Trump. The only image that I ever see are memes or actual photographs. I never see anything combining him with the message that we all stand for in this great awakening, which is to end human trafficking, to save the children, to bring around ascension and a consciousness shift, and to put all of the beautiful practices that we know on planet Earth back into the Earth grid, which means standing by our environment and standing by the truth and freedom and light and love and consciousness and community and connection and health and vitality, and no more lies and deep state. So it's Kelly Jones here. I am sharing with you the 3 weeks of my personal art retreat as I document disclosure, and I hope this has cheered you up for this day. And I just say I love you, and I can't wait to show you next week. And man, the light in me thinks the light in you is freaking awesome.